All right, welcome to Comic Sans, everybody. We're doing it again, doing another online show, and we've decided to do we're going to continue to doing online shows even when we're back in on physical stages and everything because we're enjoying this. We're having such a great time doing these shows. So I want to start by saying we're going to be doing a couple of shows next week. Next week, August 25th, we're in Toronto. We're back at Comedy Bar, my home, favorite venue, and we are doing a Comic Sans edition called Hot Girl Summer. We're going to be all of our summer celebrations, all of our summer shows just packed right into one. And it's going to be an awesome show. So make sure to check that out. Then the next day, we're running off to Waterloo, coming back to Patton Social, the OG, the original venue. And we're doing a cool patio show. Also, entirely woman lineup, so that's going to be super awesome. You can find tickets to both of those shows on our website, comicsansproductions.ca. And here is the show. Let me see. Maybe I should introduce myself, talk about myself. If there are any first-time viewers, first-time watchers. Sorry, I'm talking so fast. I just ate an entire bag of Sour Patch Kids to myself. I'm off sugar, and then I relapsed. So this is going to be a roller coaster. Lots of ups, a little bit of downs, but we're having fun. Those of you who don't know me, I'm the producer and host of Comic Sans, Alice Rose. You heard correctly. That is that very basic name is my real legitimate name. I get what you're thinking. I look like more of a lesbian Dora the Explorer. Look like I don't know, a transformer that's gonna morph into a Subaru Outback with a Saint Bernard in the back. Already packed up and ready to go to the beach with my paddleboard, but not a transformer. We'll let there's a transgender joke in there somewhere, but I'm lazy today, Walk with me. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll find something. Or maybe we're past that, Maybe we are. I have some speaking of trans stuff and trans issues and all of those experiences, a fun thing to share with everybody. And let me do some things here. That's not what I want. Okay, I'm going to try to figure out the technical stuff so I can share this with you. But I celebrated 1 week ago my anniversary, my 4-year anniversary of medical transition. And I was on a show that night, and we were celebrating a little bit. Lovely show with Ray Locktest called Serious and Sober. And I wanted to do something special, so I went and got a cake. And let me just play the clip. Let's see what happened. Bear with me. Story time. So today is my anniversary, which, if you don't know, is like the anniversary of the day I started medically transitioning. So I went to the store and got a little cake because I'm on a podcast and it's a whole thing tonight. All right, you got to see that. Okay, so she asked me if I want anything written on the cake, and I say yes. How about Happy Tranniversary? And she spells it out. I can't write it out for her because quarantine and stuff, so she spells it out. And I'm trying to explain to her, like, Tranniversary in one word. So she has the cake, and she starts writing, and I'm spelling for her T-R-A, and then I say N-N-I, and she goes N-N-Y, and then she waits for me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't take this cake. Like, for part 2. Okay, part 2. So I'm looking down at this cake that says tranny, and part of me is like, this is oddly kind of perfect. I'll take it. But then I remember what my therapist said, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't make myself and my identity the butt of the joke for this. So she takes the cake and she wipes it out and adds more
adds more icing, and she comes back with the cake and starts spelling it out again. And I'm going, and she writes TRAN, and then she just keeps going. And this was what she got me. I guess it's as good as it gets.
So happy anniversary to me.
Nice.
Also, thoughts and prayers to anyone named Tran who's trying to celebrate their birthday in the West End this week. It's hard out there. It's really not easy. Little look into my life and all of that. Just, super casual hate crimes at the grocery store. What else? Have I told anyone the story about how I saw a dead body on Sunday? Yeah. So I went to the Scarborough Bluffs with a friend on Sunday. We were gonna hit the beach and do hiking and all of that kind of stuff. And the beach was closed because they had found a dead body the previous night on Saturday night. And they looked into it a little bit, and they were like, hey, this guy went out boating with his brother. So his brother is missing somewhere. So they start combing the beach to find the body of the brother and doing search parties and stuff like that. In true Scarborough fashion, they found 4 other dead bodies in the water. Still looking for the brother.
Jeez.
Still no idea where the brother is. And it reminds me, the bluffs are beautiful. It's so nice and it's so scenic and serene, but it's still Scarborough. It's still, home of the $15 haircut franchise. Still Scarborough, where there are more money marts than actual money. More payday loan places than actual jobs that give you paychecks. And that has me wondering, what is it? Can you imagine how it feels to take out a payday loan on a paycheck that you get from your job at the payday loan place? Scarborough can. I said I have a bit of a basic name, Alice Rose, and I know it doesn't quite suit me. People don't expect this coming up onto the stage when I'm announced as Alice Rose, but I assure you I am just as basic as the name suggests. Maybe I should share a few facts about me so that you get to know me a little bit more, and we can and you can see that I live up to the name. So fact number 1, I once purchased an entire week's worth of groceries at Chapters. It was mostly charcuterie. I can't walk into a Kate Spade without buying something. It's an addiction. But I have this really cute matching purse, wallet, and lower back tattoo. And I forgot to mention this in the beginning. I gave my name, but not my pronouns. So my pronouns are live, laugh, love. We're getting back into quarantine, or out of quarantine, and into being live and being out in the world and opening up a little bit. And it feels good because I looked at the calendar. It's been 157 days since they called the pandemic. And I like to quantify that, not, 18, 20 weeks or however long. No, it's each individual day, and they add up 157 days. And that's such a long time. And surprisingly, I still don't want to hear your fucking podcast. I'm sorry. I'm not that bored. I'm bored, but not that bored. That means 157 days of living this new normal, lining up for groceries, It's ironic because now that weed is legal in Ontario, we're forced to buy everything the same way we used to buy our drugs. And I bought a breakfast sandwich in a back alley this morning. That's how it is out here. It's 155 days of working from home, trying to simulate the workplace so that you don't feel like you're always at work and always at home. So my girlfriend and I have been trying different things where, between the hours of 9 to 5, we treat each other like coworkers. So if she touches my butt when I walk by or says anything inappropriately, I threaten to report her to HR. HR is only just, he's my dog, so. And he's currently chewing on his own asshole. So what's he gonna do, really? Other fun things to simulate the workplace environment. I like to, instead of talking to my girlfriend, I'll send her emails throughout the day. Sometimes they'll be like, "What do you want for dinner?" Other times they'll be like, "Hey team, just a friendly reminder, going forward, I love you." And then I'll like BCC some random email just to fuck with her. Like, who's this I'm going out to? I don't know. It's also 157 days of not doing live stand-up comedy, which I love to do, and that's difficult. And I've done a few shows, and I appreciate each and every one of them because all of that time that I used to spend doing stand-up, I now have to spend gardening. And it's not the same. Like I try to entertain the plants, try to show them a good time, but they're not really engaging. The lawn gnomes just stand there stone-faced, not responding whatsoever. Squirrels and raccoons up in the trees chirping back at me. Still got hecklers, that's right. But they're squirrels and raccoons. I mean, it hits different when a rodent calls you a tranny. It really does. Really does. I don't know. What else did I want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. The whole pandemic thing. I'm trying to write material about the pandemic, but it's hard because nothing really shocks us anymore. We have, there are all these strange, weird conspiracy theories going out, and I love reading those. There's always a flaw to them because I love a good conspiracy, but it has to make sense. It has to follow that logic where you can trace the evidence back to the source or that person or institution that's benefiting the most. That evidence has to lead back to something. That's what makes a really good conspiracy theory. That's what gives it the juice, And then following that evidence, it's quite obvious that this whole pandemic was a joint effort between Jeff Bezos and my dog. Because nobody's happier than Jeff Bezos.
Nice.
Almost doubled his billions of dollars since this started. And, my dog has had both of his moms home all the time. Gets long walks in the park because what the fuck else am I going to do? And
Nice.
still chewing his own asshole, by the way. Still doing that. I don't know. It's really messed up with the quarantine because you can turn on the news now and nothing really surprises you because we've seen it all. Do you remember when NASA or the Navy confirmed those videos of UFOs? Said they were legit and they were evidence of unidentified flying objects in the sky that trained Navy pilots had no idea what to make of. That shit didn't even faze us. Like, the Navy and the government were like, yes, aliens are real. And we're just like, shh, wait. The Orange Man's telling us to inject bleach into our veins. So we've got bigger problems, It's tough. I don't know how to, nothing really shocks us anymore. But we're glad to be back. We're glad to be out and stepping back into life as we used to know it and doing live shows and engaging with people face to face, but we're also super lucky to be doing shows like this. So I think we're ready to start the show. 15 minutes. I've stalled enough with all of this to give you your time's worth. We have an incredible lineup of comics today from all over the place. A few comics we've been meaning to get on the show for a little while. Surprise headliner we're going to announce a little bit later, and a newer comic who just did our show last week, and we begged him to come back on because we fell in love. We really did. We really, really did. So without further ado, we're going to bring up our first comic. Is everyone ready? I can't hear you because you're watching this later. I don't know. Whatever's happening, we can't hear the audience, but we love you anyways. Our first comic of the night is tuning in with us from Ottawa. She is the creator of the YouTube series, The Trans-Canadian. Wish I'd have thought of that. She's coming for my job, probably coming for yours. Let's give a warm round of applause for Diane Skoll.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I own a cat. And as a cat owner, I constantly feel like dog owners are judging us. The dog owners look at us and they say, yeah, we made a strong bond with a sensitive creature, and the best you could do is a furry psychopath. But actually, cats and dogs aren't that different. If you do something shitty to a dog, it just looks up at you with big, sad brown eyes and it forgives you. It's the same with my cat. When my cat does something shitty to me, I look up at him with big, sad brown eyes and I forgive him. But actually, what really bothers me is when my cat rummages in my shit. I hate that. So I get back at him by rummaging in his shit, or as I like to call it, cleaning the litter box. My cat's actually pretty smart, though, because he craps outside the box. Talking of cats, some people think that cats bring you their kill because it's a sign of affection. And some people think it's because they think that humans are just incompetent hunters who can't fend for themselves. But they're both wrong. The real reason that cats leave dead animals on your doorstep, it's like a threat. They were saying, if I were bigger and you were smaller, take a look. They're too small to leave a horse's head in your bed, so that's the next best thing. My cat's name is Gato, which is not French for cake. It's Spanish for cat. He was named that by my daughter, La Fille. La Fille lives in Mexico City with her Mexican boyfriend, whose name is The Boy. A little bit more about me. I was born in South Africa, which explains my accent in case you were wondering. But when I was 11, we moved to Canada. And from age 11 to 23, I grew up in Newfoundland, which explains my accent in case you're wondering. So I am a transgender woman. And more specifically, I am a South African Newfie Jewish atheist transgender comedian. And in all of Ottawa, there are only 12 of us, but I'm the only one who doesn't work for the federal government. So when I came out as trans to my mom about 6 years ago, she was very supportive, but she had some questions for me. Like one time I was at her apartment, I was installing a ceiling fan, and she says to me, so when you're a girl, are you still going to be able to do stuff like this? So I said, yeah, there'll just be one small difference. I won't bitch about it for days beforehand or act like I deserve a medal afterwards. I studied electrical engineering in university. So my degree is EE and my cup size is AA. So what you see here is 75% big pharma, 20% structural engineering, and 5% strategically applied bronzer. I had to get that off my chest because I don't like to put up a false front. My mom also worried about my safety, which I get. I'm a parent. And I said to her, come on, Mom, this is like Ottawa. What do you think's going to happen? A gang of cannibals set upon me or something? And she goes, well, it could happen. So I said, no problem. I'm perfectly safe. Nobody likes to eat hormone-infused meat or trans fat. So in terms of the whole LGBTQ pantheon, the alphabet, the right-wingers like to call us alphabet people as if it's insulting. I mean, just because we're literate, they make fun of us. Anyway, in terms of LGBT, I identify as the T. And in my younger days, I was kind of activist. And I actually started a political party. We called it the Tea Party. But our constituency was mostly confused right-wingers. And it didn't work out. We couldn't pass a private members bill because so many of our members didn't have their private members anymore. And a lot of them crossed the floor to the opposition for some reason. I do sometimes read right-wing news sites because they make me feel better. When you read liberal sites or mainstream sites, you hear all these horrible things about how trans people are oppressed, how we have high suicide rates, how politicians hate us. It's really depressing. But when you read the right-wing sites, it's like, oh, we control the media. I mean, I'm Jewish. I already knew that. We control the public schools. This makes me much less depressed. Some right-wingers don't want us in the military. It's like, why the fuck would we join the military? We can get violence on our own. Some right-wingers say LGBT people are destroying civilization. Now that's power. I feel like I want to phone up Kim Jong-un and say, Kim, you don't need nukes. Just go put on a dress. So I actually started dating about a year after going full-time, and I wasn't sure who I wanted to date. So I dated men and women, and I discovered that I liked women, but I was sexually attracted to men. So fuck my life, all you straight women out there, you can share my pain. When I was dating, I heard all these horror stories from my women friends about unsolicited dick pics. And I'm like, if a guy sends me a dick pic, I'll just send one back. So I know probably not the crowd on this show, but I know when some people meet a trans person, they kind of wonder, has she had the operation, as if that's like the be all and end all. Like, not every trans person wants the operation. Not every trans person can have it for various reasons. And I think it's really invalidating to consider somebody less trans because they haven't had the operation, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've had the operation. My gonads are gone nads. I had a vagina installed. I went from an outie to an innie, but I stockpiled some dick pics just in case. So as it happens, the clinic in Montreal where I had my surgery, they wanted me to email them photos every so often so they could see how my healing was progressing. So just on a lark, one time I sent them a before picture with the subject, I thought this was permanent. One of the things about the surgery that some people might not know is that you have to dilate, which basically means for the first year you're playing with sex toys multiple times per day. It's not as much fun as it sounds. It's really boring. Let that take a couple of seconds to fully sink in. I was complaining. I was complaining to a friend. I said to her, dilating is time consuming. It's uncomfortable. It's messy. It's such a pain in the ass. And she goes, oh, darling, I think you're doing it wrong. She's South African too. I did actually meet a really nice guy online, of all places, and we've been together for almost 4 years now. So right from the start, I knew I had to be honest with him, so I sat him down. I said, look, Wayne, there's something about me that's an important part of my life that you have to know. And if it's a deal breaker, I get it. No hard feelings. So he goes, what? What is it? So I said, well, Wayne, see, I do stand-up comedy and you will appear in my sets. But I guess he put up with it because he stuck with me. So after the surgery, I'll close on this. After the surgery, we had to wait 12 weeks before we could have like sexual intercourse. So we decided to make it really special. And we even went so far as to go looking for a new mattress because my old one was in bad shape anyway. Anyway, come week 12 and the big day, we just hop on our brand new mattress like a couple of bunnies and we go at it. And it was fantastic. But the only downside is we're banned from the mattress store. Thanks. I'm Diane Skull. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you very much.
All right, Diane, everybody. That was a great set. I always get envious of other trans female comics because half of their material is just like they perform it and I'm just like crossing them out of my notes. Just like beat me to it, beat me to it, beat me to it. Yeah. It's thank you, Diane, for bringing up the fact that we shouldn't be asking people about their surgeries and their medical, clinical, private medical history and things like that. I don't know where I stand on surgeries. I think I like my vagina. I kind of want to keep it. Yeah. I like it so much I've given it a nickname, Anyone else nickname their vaginas? Anyone? Diane, have you given it a name? You're still on mic. Yeah.
No, alas, have not.
No. Yeah, I settled on nicknaming my vagina the last unicorn. Obviously, because it's pink and glittery and full of magic and wonder, And also because it's by Thread on Couples. Because it has hooves and a horn. I don't know. But yes, the last unicorn, not as many of you are thinking, because it only reveals itself to young virginal girls in the woods. Thank you. That is not why. Yeah. Vaginas, penises, it's all weird. Let's stop being so hung up on genitals. Let's just be cool and just smash together what we got. Have some fun with it, right? Speaking of having some fun with it, our next comic, I don't know what that was supposed to mean. Having a lot of sugar in my body right now, and I'm disappointing my mother in person. That's right. She's watching from the sofa, just shaking her head. And honestly, I didn't think having, called off an engagement, dropping out of a top architecture program, so I could become a woman, move to Toronto and move in with my Black lesbian girlfriends and decide to talk about wieners for a living. I really didn't think I had the power, the capacity to disappoint my mother anymore. Good thing to know I still have that, and I don't need to go out and get an abortion. Sorry, another abortion. Yeah. Obviously, not because she's pro-life or anything. She just, she's sick of footing the surrogacy bills for no reason. All right, I got a smile out of my mother, everybody. Thank you. Mission accomplished. That's our show. Second comic on the show tonight. He is a Waterloo alumni. Sad we didn't catch him sooner. Sad we had this pandemic and his chance to perform for us live, but he is tuning in with us from Niagara Falls. He's surprisingly a newer comic, which makes me jealous because he's as good as I am, maybe better. We had the pleasure of having him on Joke Shop last week, and we wanted to invite him back for another show right away. Please welcome from Niagara Falls, Alex Wren.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you for the invitation. And yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Alex. I am a minority, and especially in college, I was seen as a minority because I didn't do drugs and I didn't get laid. So in college, some of my friends are in engineering, they graduated, they got jobs now. I got an arts degree. I graduated, and now I'm contributing to the unemployment rate. I look at my college degree almost like my gym membership. Both are things that I pay for but never used. So I did try cocaine for the first time. I got really bad headache. I went to the doctor, prescribed me some medicine, and he said, "Be careful, because you're risking a stroke or heart failure." I'm like, "Really? Cocaine's that bad?" He's like, "No, I'm just reading the side effects of this prescription medicine." And yeah, it was an expensive weekend. The coke dealer charged me $50. The insurance company charged me $500. And that's the difference between a criminal and a criminal organization. So one thing that really fascinates me is how a brand's meaning tends to change over time. You guys know Louis Vuitton. Do you guys know that Louis Vuitton was actually the personal tailor for the Empress of France? Back then, you could use a brand to identify powerful people in the upper class. But over time, the meaning has changed. Now you could use a brand to identify pretentious people in the middle class. You look at things like Lamborghini that started as a race car. Back then, you could only find it on the racetracks speeding by you. Now you mostly find it in parking lots as a background to hip-hop music videos. What about the Gap, Old Navy? Those used to be iconic middle-class brands. Used to be a popular household item. Now it's a popular donation item. So some people are saying that participation trophies are bad for kids. And I agree. Losing was bad enough. Why'd you have to rub it in my face with an 8th place trophy? Germany lost a war. We didn't rub it in with a 2nd place statue. Like, the 8th place trophy is so useless. If you're poor, you get something valuable, like food stamps. So if the fat kid finishes last in track and field, like, let's give him something valuable, like a cheeseburger. One thing I tend to notice recently is that a lot of people, they start going to church as they get older, trying to suck up to God, get a place in heaven. They remind me of the girls who show up late to the club, but still try to flirt with the bouncer to get in. Like, that's unfair to the lifelong Christians who had to make real sacrifices. You can't do drugs, can't murder, can't cheat on your wife. Like, heaven used to be a prestigious place. Now it's more like a community college. Anyone could get in as long as you pay. So, like, everybody wants to be famous nowadays, and why wouldn't you? If you're famous, you're almost guaranteed to have power, money, and sex scandals. I mean, if you're famous and you haven't been accused of a sex scandal, there's only 2 possible reasons. 1, you never had sex, or 2, you're not rich enough. I struggle to figure out what to call a middle-aged person. Like, if you call a man sir, that's a sign of respect. If you call a woman ma'am, that's kind of rude. But if you call a woman girl, that's okay. If you call a man a boy, that's condescending. So yeah, I get it though. Women want to be young, men want to be mature. But that's funny because if there's one thing I know, you won't stay young forever, but will forever be immature. So Beyond Meat is getting really popular with vegans nowadays, and I tried it for the first time. It tastes like plastic. When something tastes like plastic but pretends to be meat, you can't just call it Beyond Meat. You have to either call it fake meat, plastic meat, or dildo. Okay. It's unfair to say that all vegans are loud and opinionated. I met a few vegans who are actually wise and rational. They were also Buddhist monks. And, vegans are a little annoying, but the only people more annoying than vegans are Jehovah's Witnesses. And the only people who are more annoying than Jehovah's Witnesses are vegan protesters. A vegan protester got ran over at the McDonald's drive-through. He tried to sue, right? But the McDonald's lawyer said, no. Her broken leg wasn't caused by the car, but rather by malnourishment due to lack of protein. Yeah, McDonald's won the lawsuit, but as a gesture of goodwill, McDonald's compensated her with a lifetime of free Big Macs. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex Ren. Oh, yay. Vegans. Don't we love them? There are very few things that people preach or people advocate for like vegans do. Atheists are the same. I like to call atheists God vegans, because you're really very much the same. I don't believe in God, but I don't like to call myself an atheist because I'm an atheist in the way that I'm sober, right? Like it's there. I acknowledge it, but it's really not for me. That's okay. I'd rather do without all that God, but so many atheists are hardcore atheists. They're actively abstaining from God, and they won't shut the fuck up about how bad it is for you. I don't know. Thank you so much, Alex. That was such a wonderful performance. We have a special treat for you tonight. We have two special treats for you tonight. I'm being joined by two of our producers who are going to be performing for you. Just to remind you that just because we're backstage, just because we're behind the scenes doesn't mean we're not funny, and we can still be comics. And first up to prove our theory is the producer of the brand new producer of Joke Shop and and the newest member of Comic Sans, the very wonderful, very funny Ashwin Singh. Welcome,
Hello.
Ashwin.
Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Brilliant. I was just thinking about it. I'm not religious anymore, but I read a lot of the texts. Like I read the Guru Granth Sahib, I read the Bhagavad Gita, I read the Bible. So I'm agnostic in the same way that I am also sober. I went to the LCBO. I just didn't like what they had on sale. The price tag was too high. And they said all of it. So I said, oh, like you should join the community. It'll be really helpful to you. But they all seemed like addicts. All right. In about 30 seconds, you're going to feel really bad for my girlfriend. When that happens, you should know that I can only get away with these jokes for two reasons. One, we love each other deeply. And two, she doesn't exist. I know that everybody's really concerned outside right now, just because the symptoms of COVID-19 are super ubiquitous. If you just like look at them separately, like shortness of breath, it's like you could have gone for a jog, but it's also like people are scared if you just cough in public. The other day I went for a jog and I came home and I was like super out of breath. And my girlfriend saw it and she like suddenly got concerned. She was like, "Are you okay, Ashwin? Like, is everything okay?" And I was like, yeah, don't worry. It's always hard for me to breathe when you're around. Anyway, I'm not here to complain about my girlfriend. I'm here to complain about her dog walker, who is way too hot for no. Why are all dog walkers like super attractive? Is this just like a quality they like? Is this a job requirement? Okay, any job that has like more than 80% of its constituents like super attractive, I feel like the job only exists because we wanted to give pretty people jobs. And that kind of makes sense. Like dog walkers as a phenomenon is just, it's like I don't think they would exist if people had sense. Like if you can't walk the dog, why'd you get it? Like imagine if I like bought a girlfriend and then I also hired someone to fall in love with her. Like what is the point of spending money on something to love you if then you also have to spend additional money on something to love them? I thought the whole point was the two of you to fall in love. Like at least when like your girlfriend gets pregnant, like you can have it by accident, like the condom broke, like the birth control didn't work, but like nobody drops off a dog at your doorstep. You like nobody like it's not swaddled in a blanket. It's always a choice to go to the kennel and get a dog. Also, you made a commitment to loving something that you spent money on, and now you're shirking your investment. As a hard-working, cheap-ass hoe, I don't know what I find more offensive, your lack of discipline or your fiscal irresponsibility. And then people, I don't even understand why people get dogs, because the first reason I've always been given for getting a dog is, oh my God, you should get a dog. Their love is unconditional. And I'm like, that's not a good reason. That's just like me looking at something being like, so you'll just love anybody. Like I want to be loved, but I want to be loved by somebody who had a choice. Like dogs love us for the same reason that children love us. Like we give them something to eat, something like a place to sleep and something to wear in the winter. But like the difference is children, like dogs can't leave when they turn 18 and children don't know they're living in a cage. How can we be the smartest species in the world if we are the only species that like invents our own cages? Like the other day, this like friend of mine that just turned 19, she got a car for the first time. And she came up to me and she's like, I just got a car. I feel so free. Ashwin, isn't it freeing to get a car? And I was like, yeah, there's nothing more freeing than a giant metal box. And then that starts our life trajectory of putting ourselves in bigger and bigger boxes. Like you start in your mother's box. Then you go to your parents' box. When you turn 18, your parents are like, you're going to have to get your own box at some point, right? So you move into a studio apartment, you get married, and you move into a bigger box with a white picket fence. Then you go to the kennel, you get a dog, you give it its own little box, then you pretend the dog is free. And then you're like, oh my God, I gave my dog freedom. I take it for walks. And I'm like, first of all, you got a dog walker. That's not the same thing. Second of all, prisoners also get yard time. And then we move into a slightly smaller box. That's our coffin. Move that into a slightly bigger box. That's our grave. And then we pass away. If your entire life trajectory follows the same general pattern as a Russian doll, are you really alive? These are all what I qualify as immigrant thoughts, which just, like you move from place to place 7 times, like everything looks like a place to put your stuff in. I was talking to my dad the other day about it. And I was like, yeah, Dad, I don't think I'll make a good father. And he's like, why? And it's like, because I already hate my future children. And he's like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, okay. When you're a good parent, you're supposed to tell your children the things they do that you don't like, so they turn into adults that you do like. But I don't even like regular adults. So how am I supposed to turn my child into something I like when I don't even know what it is about people that other people are supposed to like? I don't like anybody. Also, my future children are going to be second generation immigrants, and I already don't like them because they don't give me any confidence in myself. Like, they always get on stage and they'll say things like, oh my god, my parent, the immigrant, did something super silly, isn't that funny? And at first I'll be like, oh my god, that is super funny. And then I'll be like, wait a second, he's talking about me? And I'm just like, I made you, why are you making fun of me? And I feel like people forget that second generation immigrant is another word for citizen. Like, you were born here. And then I feel like their problems are not the same as my problems. Like, a second generation immigrant has the problem of people asking them where they're from, where the conversation's like, where are you from? I'm from here. Where are you really from? And then they're supposed to be offended. But as an immigrant, for me, it's more like, where are you from? New Delhi. Cool. So we don't have the same problems. I'll just stop there. My name's Ashwin Singh. Thank you very much.
Woo!
All right, there I am. Yay! Ashwin Singh, everybody. Are you okay, buddy? When did you get so angry? What happened? Just playing with you. That was great. I wonder about second generation immigrants. Why there is that distinction. One thing that caught me off guard, and don't mind me, I'm like the sugar's wearing off. This is the low. We're gonna get low. Expat. Where did that word come from? Isn't that just white people immigrants? I lived in Uganda, and it was the first time I really heard expat, because I thought for some reason expats were people who went somewhere in a war and then refused to come back. They were like, you know what? Vietnam's pretty beautiful. I want to stick around. But no, it turns out every white person who immigrates somewhere considers themselves an expat. I don't get that. I really don't. You're just an immigrant. No, it's not a bad word. It's not, there's no negative connotation. Why do we, as white people, need a special name? I don't get it. That wasn't a joke. I just, something that came to mind. I don't know. Let's see. We have, we have one more producer. We have another wonderful member of the Comic Sans team before our incredible headliner, who's a surprise, and you're gonna love them. You're absolutely gonna love them. Our next comic is a resident of Hamilton. She produces the Comic Sans live show in Hamilton, which when we come back live in Hamilton, we will be at Levity Comedy Club. So that's a really, really exciting thing. Our next comic is an incredibly super talented Shakespearean actress, wonderful comedian, and super nice person. Please welcome to the show, Kristy McNaughton.
Thanks, Alice. That was really nice of you.
Aww.
Yeah, I don't get that kind of kindness here in Hamilton, but that's okay. That's all right. I have you. All right. So yes, my name is Krista. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. So the first fun fact is that I have a binge eating disorder.
Yay!
Thank you. Yeah, if you don't know what a binge eating disorder is, It's when you eat copious amounts of food to deal with your problems instead of turning to drugs or alcohol. But sometimes you still turn to drugs or alcohol. A binge eating disorder is also when your mom gives you a cheesecake to take home to share with your boyfriend, but you have a 2.5 hour car ride ahead of you. And you go, yes, Mom, this will definitely make it all the way home. And then you eat it like a sandwich. That's a binge eating disorder. Do you guys ever get blackout full? You wake up in the morning and you're like, what did I eat? Just me. Okay. No. But I know what you're thinking. You're like, okay, Krista, have you gone to therapy for this? But I have, actually. Yeah, it was okay. I guess the major issue with it was that it was right next to a McDonald's. So it seemed a little counterintuitive, if you ask me. So eventually I just said, screw it, and I hit the drive-thru instead. Yeah, that worked out really well, except that it wasn't covered by benefits. I mean, I tried claiming it as a Happy Meal. Turns out they're not the same thing. That's okay. I've always loved food, though, even when I was a little kid. You know the game, He Loves Me Not? I used to play that with a whole pizza. It took me a long time to realize that pizzas have an even number of slices. So unfortunately, He Loved Me Not. Every time. No, it's okay. It's all right, though. Yeah. So another fun fact about me is that I am 32 years old, but I don't act my age. I use Pokemon Go as my GPS, so that's where I'm at right now. But one thing that I do that is age appropriate is I buy anti-aging products. I love them, you know, all the creams, the serums. And I recently bought this thing called a derma roller. Now, if you don't know what a derma roller is, it's basically like an aerator for your face. So it's got like hundreds of little micro needles on it. And you just like roll it around and you stab yourself repeatedly. Yeah, it's supposed to stimulate collagen or something like that. But basically, it's just a really great way to spend a Friday night. Guys, it's good to feel something. Even if it's pain. Don't use it on your vulva. Don't do that. No, it's okay. It's okay. Depression and anxiety is like super trendy right now. So I'm really glad that I hung on to mine. You know, there's nothing worse than getting rid of something right before it comes back into style. It's a keeper. It's a keeper. Yeah. No. So some people also tell me that 32 is a little too old to get blackout drunk five times a week. I disagree. But sometimes I don't even try. Like I have one beer and then the muscle memory kicks in and all of a sudden I'm wasted. I actually recently just got a job at a brewery because I wanted to start drinking professionally and things are going great. That's awesome. Although the other day at work, I mistook a vase for a really big beer glass. Like I looked at it and I was like, whoa, you can fit like 4 tall cans in there? That's amazing. Okay, don't worry. There wasn't still flowers in it. I wasn't like, ooh, craft beer's getting crazy. Those hops are still growing. No. It wasn't like that. But in my defense, it did look like the perfect shape for an IPA. And it was delicious. But okay, I know that I'm not the only one who likes to drink. I was actually at a party a little while ago. It was before COVID, but the host got sloppy. It was ridiculous. First, they ran out of toilet paper. Again, pre-COVID, there was no excuses. It was just trashy. Then they spilled their beer everywhere. They fell into a table. Then they had to be put to bed, and all the guests were sent home. And the weird thing is that when I woke up, I did not remember doing any of that. It was crazy. No. But honestly, through the quarantine and everything, I'm actually trying to get my life together a little bit. And I think I'm doing pretty good because I floss my teeth almost every day. It's amazing. I'm really proud of myself. And, you know, it has me thinking that I think I'm ready to have a baby. I do. Yeah. It's like I'd already be like the perfect pregnant person. I eat copious amounts of food. You know, I already don't sleep well. Sometimes I think I feel a kick. And then I just remember that it's the Kung Pao chicken, you know? And they even say that when you're pregnant, you're allowed to like have 1 glass of alcohol. So I'll just use the vase. You know, yeah, because if I can remember to floss my teeth 5 times a week, I can remember to feed a baby 5 times a week. I think I'd rock it. Yeah. I mentioned I like Pokemon Go. To be honest, I'm just on my phone like way too much. I know that's a problem with a lot of people, but guys, there's this one app in particular that is taking over my life. And it's really starting to become a problem. And this app is my period tracker. It is so irregular. And the poor app can't keep up. It thinks I'm ovulating 6 times a month. And if you don't understand, that is far, far too many times. But I did go to my doctor, and they said they could do this thing where they scrape my uterus. And I was like, is there a medical term for that? Because all I picture is them like carving me out like a jack-o'-lantern. But I finally have my gyno appointment. It's booked, but it's not until October. But, you know, I thought that's kind of fitting. Figure I'll just save some money on a Halloween costume, stick a candle up there, and trick or treat. It all looks like melted wax down there anyways. It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, now that it's summer, I'm not doing so well. I don't really like summer. I don't like the sun. The sun doesn't like me. I am a ginger. It's kind of hard to tell, you know, with the lighting and, you know, the fact that I don't remember the last time I washed my hair. Whatever. Quarantine. It's so fun. But one thing I like about summer is that my sunscreen doubles as my foundation. It's a fun fact. Another thing that I really like about summer is that it means that it's romper season. I love me a good romper. They are so comfortable. If you don't know what they are, they're like a kind of like a onesie. They're shorts, you know, a one piece. They're so comfortable. Feel like pajamas, but super cute. And it's like, it's for those times where you could wear a dress, but you never know when you're going to want to romp. You hear what I'm saying? Hear what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. They're so comfortable. There is one downside though to rompers. You might know. It's just when you have to go to the bathroom, it's a little awkward. You kind of have to take the whole thing off to pee. But don't worry. I found a loophole. Catheter. Yeah. Yeah, my bladder can go screw itself. Yeah, it totally deserved that UTI. Yeah. But there's another downside to rompers and just like women's clothing in general, and that lack of pockets. You know, not fair at all. So I don't really want to have to tell you where I normally keep my lipstick, but I will. It's with the catheter. All right. Moving on. I guess, you know, I'm just going to leave you with a quick little story. guess I usually talk about my boyfriend, but I didn't today. Enough about him, you know. But we've been together 11 years, and things are going really, really well. But in all of our 11 years, we have never been the kind of couple who gives each other gifts, and we're okay with that. Except for this past Christmas, I had to buy him a gift because we work together, and I drew his name in our work Secret Santa. But I thought, this is perfect because I know him really well. I know exactly what he wants. But what I didn't realize was that we had to open the gifts in front of all of the other staff. So, needless to say, it was the most awkward blowjob I have ever given in my life. Thank you very much. I've been Krista McNaughton.
Yay! A round of applause for awkward blowjobs. Oh, how we've all been there. Hi, Mom. All right. It is headliner time. It is that time for that very, very special little taste of talent that we like to keep till the end. Just to go out with a bang. Absolutely. This next comic is from Toronto. You may know them from their drag name Titty Smalls, or you may know them as the wonderful comedian, producer of Cybersets, which is the next one is Monday the 24th, and I happen to be on that. So if you're not sick of me yet, and you're not sick of this next comic, come check it out. You absolutely won't be, because they are one of my favorite people in the world and super, super funny. Please welcome to the show, Jade, Niles, Craig.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's great to be here. I'm at home, so it's always great to be here. I didn't have to leave my house to do this show, so I can't really complain. Yeah, this is nice. I'm glad to be doing virtual comedy again. I had my first live set on Friday night, which Alice was also there for. And I like this a little better. I like this a little bit better. It's much less expensive. It smells better. Alice, I'm basically saying that, like, thank you for putting me on the show is what I'm getting at. Yeah, I've got a migraine, so I'm a little bit out of it right now, but we'll get to the comedy stuff. Quarantine. How's everyone's quarantine doing? Good? Bad?
Hey.
Yeah, all right. I hear you cheering, and I get that. That's the spirit of being a comedy audience member, but we're all screaming inside is really what's happening. Something that's been kind of cool is I haven't seen my mom in like 6 months. And if you're thinking like, oh, that sounds sad, remember I'm a comedian. There's a reason that I'm funny. My mom is an interesting character. She's a very self-aware person. She sat me down when I was a teenager, and keep in mind, I didn't know anything about drugs at the time. So my mom sat me down and was like, Jade, I am going to go to rehab because I like cocaine a little bit too much. And I want to deal with that before it becomes a problem. And like I said, didn't know anything about drugs, grew up, was cool, learned a couple of things, tried a couple of things, and realized that, Mom, if you like cocaine a little bit too much, you already have a problem. kind of how it works. I also went to visit my mom at rehab, and it was gorgeous, to say the least. And like, I watch TV, I know things. So I was like, Mom, this is really fancy. Like, is this actually something we can afford right now? My mom was like, you know what, it's actually okay, because they let me into this program for free. So little innocent Jade, teenager Jade, didn't know anything, was like, yeah, my mom doesn't have a problem, but my mom got a fucking scholarship to rehab. Like, you get a scholarship to something when they're like, you really need our help and your progress will make us look really good. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if I mentioned that my mom is white. Just throwing that out there so you can feel bad for me. I don't hate white people, just as a heads up. Just my mom, really. No, I'm kidding. yeah, white people are interesting to say the least. There's a lot of things that I would like to talk to white people about. And I was thinking the other day about going to see my tattoo artist recently, and that reminded me of an argument that I once had with a white person, where a white person tried to tell me that they experienced discrimination for having a lot of tattoos. And they were like, that's just like racism because it's discrimination based on your skin. And I'm like, to get a tattoo, you have to make a fucking appointment. It's not exactly the same thing. If you think about the way that people get their first tattoo, it's always like some young girl from Oshawa who goes into a studio and is like, hi, I don't know what I want, but I want somebody to think this is who I am. But also, like, you don't even know me. Anyway, this girl did an infinity symbol on her ribcage right here. Every single time. Name's probably Stacy or something like that. And like, what if that's how it worked to become a person of color? Like, what, you go into a studio and you're like, I don't know what race I want to be, but I want a sense of rhythm. But also make sure that it's harder for me to get a job. Like, think about that for a minute. Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in quarantine sending nudes to my friends. Husbands, that is, my friends. And if you're judging me for being a bad person, in my defense, I'm also fucking them. So nothing they haven't seen before. I should also probably mention that I'm polyamorous. I'm not just sleeping with my friends' husbands. I'm doing it while they're asleep in the bed. Anyway, quarantine's been nice. I'm half white. I am bisexual. I'm polyamorous. I really just looked at my identity and was like, how can we make everything harder? Let's do that. I'm non-binary too. Yeah, non-binary, which is cool. I really, really don't miss gendered washrooms. Like, really don't miss them. Of course, when I have to pick one, I'm going to pick the women's washroom. At this point in my life, I'm just a huge fan of like the safety factor. So I'll continue. I remember being in a women's washroom and I saw this sign on the wall and it said, hey, please do not flush feminine hygiene products down the toilet. Thank you. And then there was a clip art image of a tampon and of a pad. So these are the feminine hygiene products. I was like, all right, let's deconstruct this a little bit because I use those products. I'm not a woman. I thought about it and I was like, it's actually kind of funny because the reason that sign is there is that it will fuck up your whole week if you flush a tampon or a pad. And there's actually nothing more inherently masculine than clogging a toilet as a power move. That's why I do it on every first date. I've also noticed with a lot of time spent doing virtual things that I'm filling out all these forms and the gender options are getting a little bit more inclusive, but we're not there yet. So what I often see on a form under sex or gender is male. Of course, that comes first. And then female. And then the third option will say, prefer not to say. And I'm like, well, I guess that suits me the best, but like, I don't identify as a secret. Like, my gender isn't it's not what it is. It's the literal opposite of being out. Also, I mentioned being bisexual, but as you can see, I have style. So you've guessed it. You did the math. Perfect for you. I don't date men. I don't do it. As I said earlier with the whole husbands things, I will sleep with them, but it's more of a catch and release kind of situation. Just, because I love myself. So, I just don't want to put myself through that. I find that dating men, specifically dating straight men or dating cis men, is a lot like doing cocaine. Yeah, we're back to cocaine. See, trauma, that's why I'm funny. It's like doing cocaine. Like dating men is like doing cocaine. And if you're thinking, okay, you said that 3 times, why? It's because it's fun. For 15 minutes. And then I have to ask myself, Jade, are you doing this because you enjoy it? Or are you doing this because you haven't heard from your dad in a while? And if you have a problem with that joke, take it up with my dad. Okay. You can call him back. I'm not going to. All right. Yeah, I a couple of years ago, I had my first healthy relationship. So I had my first queer relationship, which was interesting. I think we went vegan just because that's what gays do. And I was trying really hard to be like a good lesbian the whole time. So throughout the relationship, we just like took turns making hummus every other day, just like never stopped making hummus. We took a nice Sunday stroll every week through Home Depot just to keep the romance alive. And at one point, I decided to splurge on a little buzz toy for us. And I would light some candles and draw a bath and turn on that little buzzer, and we just take turns going over each other's undercuts. Do well anymore. They're like, they want the juicy details. Yeah, I get it. I talked about being Black, which is fun. I say it's fun. It is fun. I feel kind of bad for white people right now. And that's because of this whole term that's been coming up, this word Karen that's circulating around. And I'm like, okay, Karen. People are starting to call it a slur. And I'm like, yeah, there's nothing that you can really do with that. Like, you can't reclaim it and put it in a country song the way that Black people did with nigga and hip hop. Like, you could be like, what about Trisha? And like, you could kind of work it into something, but just kind of stuck with this word. And like, the fact that people are trying to compare it to the N word is so stupid to me. And there's a lot of reasons why it's not true, but I will focus on the funniest one. And it's that I would never get excited if one of my white friends called me Karen the way that my white friends get excited when I call them nigga. I'll give you an example. Like, whenever I call one of my white friends nigga, because it happens, it's a reflex. It just sounds cooler than buddy. It's in my blood to be cool. That's what being Black is. It's Black privilege, actually. Anyway, it happens. And every time I do that, I get the same response from my white friends. They're like, wait a minute. So, like, does that mean that I get to say it now? And I have to look my well-meaning white friend in the eye and say, I don't know. How fast are you? It's a reference to getting your ass kicked, is what I'm saying. Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Camping's fun. Having a lot of white friends is weird because I said camping is fun just now. I actually meant to just say that in my brain because I'm addressing a joke. So we love migraines. Anyway, I have a lot of white friends who want to take me camping. No. Look at the tone of my skin. Look at the history. I'm not going into the woods with you. I'm not going into the woods. Why would I go into the woods? I grew up poor. Like, that's... I just want to get rich enough one day that I can look into my white friend's eyes and say, I don't have to struggle to have a good time anymore. Just want to get like rich enough where at any point in time you could knock on my door and I'd be wearing one of those fabulous long, like, just killed my husband robes, swirling a glass of Pinot and being like, landlord, I haven't heard that name for years. Doesn't have to be Bezos rich, but I do deserve it more than he does. So there's that. Funny enough, my favorite movie is Get Out. Absolutely love that movie so much. I felt very seen, felt very appreciated. Horror films are the one genre where I'm not mad about the lack of representation because I'm like, this is actually where Hollywood is nailing historical accuracy. The movies would be a lot shorter. They'd fucking go. They would move. So Get Out was good. It was this fresh concept. It was so dope. And then it was nominated for a Golden Globe. And I was like, yes, it's getting recognized. It's getting seen. We out here. We're doing our thing. Oh, it's getting nominated as a comedy? It's like, I was not laughing when I watched that movie. And then a friend of mine was like, oh, well, it got nominated in that category because it's a dark comedy. And I was like, but that's racist. Made a lot of sense. And then I thought about it and I was like, okay, there were some funny points. There were a couple of times where I was giggling a little bit. I don't know if I call it a comedy, but two things that stuck out to me the most were the end of the movie. So if you're watching this and you haven't seen it, sucks, I'm going to ruin it for you. End of the movie, main character Chris is surrounded by bodies and covered in blood. And his best friend picks him up and rescues him. And they sit together in silence. And his best friend is also black. They're both black. And what does his friend say to him? The first thing that his friend says to him is not, are you okay? Do you need anything? What should we do with these dead people? No. The first thing that this guy says to his friend is, I told you not to go to a cottage with these white people. And if you have a black best friend, you know why that's funny. Because that is exactly what they will say to you. They will say, I told you so before they check in. Anyway, next thing that was funny. This girlfriend that Chris has in the movie, they have this scene where she's eating a bowl of Fruit Loops dry in a bowl. And then in a glass with a straw, she keeps taking sips of what has to be almond milk. And I thought this was funny because I'm like, oh, they're trying to make her look like neurotic and obsessive and like with all these crazy weird habits. And I'm like, there was definitely a girl watching that movie in an organic t-shirt and her name is Debbie. And she was like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one who did that. Debbie's are getting the representation they deserve. Yeah, that's nice. Right before quarantine, I got fired from a job. Yeah, I got fired from a brunch place that I worked at. To be fair, they did warn me multiple times to stop giving little kids mimosas disguised as regular orange juice. So guess that's fair. Right before that, I got fired from a job because of an accidental text message. I thought it was kind of stupid. Like I sent my boss a regular text, then I ended it by accident with a winky face instead of just like a normal friendly smiley face. But when I did that, I was like, there's no way that my boss is gonna misunderstand my text because all it said was, hey, we should fuck. I have a couple of dumb thoughts that I want to get into before I get into the closers. So basically, I'm going to disappoint you so much that my closers will have to hit well. So yeah, a couple of things. And then I'll know if these are just dumb thoughts or, you know, if I'm spending too much time alone or if they're funny. First thing, do you think that survivors of kidnapping are just like pissed about the concept of escape rooms? All right, second thing, do you think that blind people really understand the hype around podcasts? Because that's just like everything. All right. Other dumb thing is I've been thinking a lot about that old-time concept of virginity and pureness and being a woman, essentially, and that like analogy of a vagina being a lock and a penis being a key. And it's like, you know, you have to stay abstinent because if you have a lock that works for a lot of different keys, then that's a bad lock. And I'm like, okay. That's kind of stupid, but it's also kind of funny because then it makes me think of like a drunk dude at a bar hitting on a girl who's not interested as like an analogy for a guy standing in front of a house and like fumbling around with his keys and trying to get in. And it's not that he can't find the right key. It's that the house has too much self-respect to let him inside. All right. I was also during quarantine. I got banned from Tinder. Days. Was looking for another dating app to use in my spare time, and I saw this one, and the description for it said Tinder, but for fucking. Pandemic aside, that seems a little bit redundant. I don't know, like that's like saying dinner for eating, weed for smoking, telling him you're pregnant for leverage. And if you didn't laugh at that, it just means you're a better person than I am. Yeah. When I was on Tinder, I was getting these weird ass messages from men, which is typical of them. Like, I think they should be illegal at least once a month. But I remember once I was swiping in the Scarborough Man's area of the city. He sent me a message that it really stood out to me. You know, I got to give him kudos for creativity, but he sent me a message, and I think his message was his way of advertising his mixtape because it sounded straight out of a soca and calypso song. So first message to me, not a hello, not a hi there, not a how are you. This is what he says to me. He says, "Hey baby, I want to suck those lips and lick up your tits while we watch Netflix." I don't know. This is it was there. And I was like, see, this is why I don't date men, out of self-love. Thank you so much, y'all. I'm Jade Nels Craig.
Round of applause for Jade. All right. So good to finally get them on the show. Yay. That's it. That's our show. We had a blast. This was a lot of fun. Had some ups and downs with my sugar level. What does diabetes taste like? I need to know, or is it just a bad aftertaste from the Sour Patch Kids? I'm not sure. Thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Special shout out to Melissa Jensen, who's a great friend and a huge fan of the show, and watching us tonight for sure. Melissa, I hope today's show brightened your day almost as much as you brightened my life. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we're glad we could provide you a little entertainment tonight. Hope you get better, and we all love you and can't wait to see you. We can't wait to see all of our fans and audience members and everyone we love. The great thing about the Comic Sans shows is we get a lot of people coming back to the shows over and over again, and we get to really know our fans, and that's something that's really special for me. A little bit of community building. So we're so thrilled next week to be back in Toronto on the 25th. Check us out at Comedy Bar. If you live in Waterloo, check us out at Patton Social on August 26th for a patio show. Both of those shows will be featuring some of the best women voices and women comics in both of those cities, and we're really happy to come back Monday, August 24th. Also check out, if you're stuck at home from wherever you are in the world, you can check out Cyber Sets, Jade's the show that Jade has been producing throughout the pandemic in partnership with Glad Day Bookshop. So check that out on GDTV. You can find the links on Facebook. Also, if you're interested in me, but maybe not jokes, maybe something a little more serious. Let's take it down a notch. I'm gonna be telling my coming out story August 27th as part of a series that was created by wonderful people in Niagara Falls, my friends Fallon Shaw and comedian Patrick Alexander. And it's in partnership with Niagara Falls Museums. And each episode of the series is a different person's coming out story and their journeys. I'm going to be interviewing my mom. And it's going to be cute. It's going to be cute as heck. So make sure to tune into all those things. Our next episode of the Corona Shift comes out on Friday. That is with Kelly Sanchuk. That was another Toronto comic, so check that out. Make sure to find my Patreon for special deals, special exclusive content, exclusive access, early access to shows and podcasts, and sweet deals on everything at the Comic Sans site. So tickets and merchandise from 10 to 50% off for Patreon subscribers. So look me up there. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting live entertainment and local queer comedy. And thanks for laughing with us. Until next month, have a great time. Stay safe. Keep 6 feet apart. And don't do anything stupid. All right. That's our show. Good night, everyone.